people, rejecting sales positions. And a salesperson says that's just because they are not paid well. And so I'm a salesperson. They are not paid well. We bring the money. So why would anybody want to take such a job? Many of you have complained about even our artisans. You've talked about how today you would prefer to, hire someone from La Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Mali, Nigeria, and not somebody from Ghana. In fact, our own carpenters of the past that we said the others could do it very well, we say they're also going extinct. So this morning, we want to find out, where are the opportunities? Do we have opportunities? Or we just don't have them and pretending to have one? Is it a case of skills development, the fact that many of us are not properly skilled, we don't have the soft skills that could actually ensure that we get hired? We're joined by Dr. Priscilla Chumesi Bafo, who is Senior Lecturer, Department of Economics of the University of Ghana, and Constance Elizabeth Swanika, who is founder and CEO of Accents and Art and Design Technology Institute. Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Hope all of you are doing well.
Yes, very well, thank you.
Great, we'll get into the conversation shortly, but first, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, in collaboration with UNIDO, with funding support from the European Union, is organizing the maiden edition of the Wacom Made in ECOWAS exhibition in Ghana under the West African Competitiveness Program. Over 100 MSMEs operating in the processed fruits, cassava, and cosmetics sectors will showcase their products and services from the 29th of June to the 1st of July at the forecourt of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly Office Complex. To register as an exhibitor, call 0243 425872 or 0547 513373. For more information, visit wacomghana.org. Businesses are encouraged to register early to reserve their stands. The registration fee is 500 Ghana cedis only. Wacom Made in ECOWAS exhibition enhancing intra-regional trade to empower local industries.
Well, I have a question for you. What is exciting, delicious, creamy, and rich with vitamins, minerals, and has the goodness of cocoa all at the same time? Can you guess what it is? Well, I'll tell you. It's the brand new Niche chocolate drink. Made with Ghana's finest wholesome cocoa, Niche chocolate is full of delicious goodness. Niche chocolate drink comes in 250 ml bottle and 180 ml Tetra Pak so that you can enjoy it big or small. It's great for all members of the family. Visit a shop near you to get yours, and I know for a fact, because I do, that you would love it. Contact 0531 818292 0277 779560. Niche, Taste of Ghana.
Well, Absa Bank says they know that life is go, 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 and that it's hard to make time for the things that really count, so they won't let banking get you in your way. That's why with Absa's digital channels, you can bank when, where, and how you want, so you can focus on what or who's important to you. Banking has never been this easy. Transfer funds into your savings account, pay your old school union dues and your DSTV subscription, and many more with a click on your phone. Get things done simply with Absa's digital channels. That's Africanacity, that's Absa. Terms and conditions apply. Visit absa.com.gh for further details.
Yummy, yummy. Introducing the new super delicious and yummy McBerry Twist Cupcake. The McBerry Twist Cupcakes are baked with natural ingredients and come in two flavors, vanilla and chocolate. And they taste as good as they look. The best part is they're affordable, so hurry, get a whole pack for your family. McBerry Twist Cupcake is healthy and comes in handy as portable snacks for your kids to eat and share with friends at school. Indulge in the deliciously baked and irresistible taste of McBerry Twist Cupcake and enjoy the goodness in every bite. It's available in every supermarket and provision shop near you. McBerry Twist Cupcake, simply irresistible. This advert is FDA approved.
Great. Let's welcome listeners in Kumasi who are listening to us on Love 99.5 FM. Welcome to the conversation. So let's get into it now. And this is something that we've been talking about for some time now. Where are the opportunities? We always complain about the unemployment rate in the country, the fact that in Ghana today we have some 1.76 million people who are unemployed, and the fact that 25% of young people aged between 15 and 35 are neither in employment, education, nor training. First question, this is a country that has been talking about creating employment for a very long time. So where are the jobs? Why is it that we're still grappling with employment or unemployment at this time of our development? Let me start off with you, Dr. Chumesi Bafo. Where are the jobs? We've been doing a lot of things. So where are the jobs?
Good morning once again, Winston, and good morning to your listeners. Indeed, jobs are not very easy to find. And essentially, opportunities in the labor market are changing because the structure of the economy has changed. And so essentially, back in the years where majority of the labor force was involved in agriculture and agriculture-related services have moved. But unfortunately, the structure of the transformation we see is that the jobs have moved into services. And even in the service industry, we find that a lot of the activities are informal. Informality introduces a lot of issues of low productivity, low incomes, and all that. And so when you look at the structure, you see that we are missing a very important middle, which is a manufacturing-led structural transformation, which would have created a lot more jobs than we see. But that said, there are also issues of when you talk about jobs, and so I'm talking about the demand side, but there's also the supply side as well, which is the capacity of the people that are looking for the jobs and even people that are in jobs. And that is where probably we'll begin to discuss issues of education and skills training. Do the people that are on the labor market looking for jobs have the right skill sets for the needs of the ever-changing demands on the labor market? So those are the issues.
Let's look at the ever-changing needs. You've talked about the changing opportunities. What are they? I mean, where were they, and where have they changed to?
Okay, so essentially, as you mentioned about carpenters that were all over the place when we were growing up in the 80s and 90s, you would see that there was the timber boom, for example, in Ghana, where there was a lot of woodwork and wood processing activities that existed. These days, that industry is basically fizzling out. And so you find that even the carpenters that are in there are now importing, depending on imports of most of their raw materials to do things. So if people were cutting wood, for example, from the forest, processing it manually and doing it, you see that there was a whole lot of value chain jobs that were created along those lines. But as those jobs, those opportunities no longer exist, and now people are importing semi-finished products, it means essentially that we've exported those jobs outside. And the opportunities, when we come to skill sets, there's always the need for a lifelong learning, for example. Carpenters need to learn and adopt new technologies because the furnitures that our grandparents used are not the ones we are using now. And the system should be in such a way that people are trained so that they are consistently upgrading their skills and meeting the needs of the time.
So let me bring Constance in, and you've made a very important point. The times are changing. Okay, today people would want imported furniture. But even talking about that, I know how Ghanaian, makers of furniture export their furniture to other parts of Africa. I know Ghanaians who export their furniture to Nigeria. I know the Ghanaians who export to other countries. And in there, they will tell you that, if this one goes to Nigeria, it's very expensive. So when they see a Nigerian man coming, they actually sell it, at a higher price because they know he's taking it to Nigeria. So, Constance, while there may be changing phases of our development, these phases also come with opportunities, don't they?
It absolutely does. I think to add on to what Dr. Priscilla said, you really need to look at the demands of industry. Industry's needs are changing, and then the needs also of the consumers. Because of our open free trade policies, people do have now the option to select what they want. But, I would like to also go back to when we talk about our industrialization agenda. For any country to industrialize, the three basic things: industrial welding, plumbing, and electrical. These form the basis of any development of any country. I'd also like to make reference to our colonial past. We were trained by the British to be civil servants, and so we were trained to work in offices. And so there was no TVET agenda right at our independence. And so when industry changed, our education really laid bare what was missing. And then you also have industry trends that have changed, and we really don't have a base. So these are the root cause of what the issues have been, and then we can then look at how do we really look at leapfrogging, if I may, to really look at how we can close this gap as quickly as possible.
And Constance, talking about trained as civil servants, for all of us who went through the BECE system, we as a people identify that we have been trained as civil servants. So we said we were going to change our education. Started in 1972, ended in 1974, eventually implemented in 1987. So why are we still where we are? Because we said we were going to go into technical and vocational education. TVET, we said we're predisposing people to that form of education to lead our next phase of transformation.
So that's a good question. So if you look also at the education policies that have, evolved. I remember I did A-levels, and the students who did GSS and SHS, I remember technical drawing was very big.
Yeah.
And then somehow it got taken out of the curriculum. I used to remember every single GSS person going around with a drawing board.
They
The
made it
drawing board.
Pre-tech. Now it becomes
Exactly.
pre-tech.
Exactly.
But I think it's out now. Yes.
Exactly. And then somewhere along the line, we shifted to this, I don't want to be seen holding a drawing board anymore. But if I'm then doing more the white collar type, jobs or studying for that, then it seemed a bit more accepted. So we have to ask ourselves, what happened? Where is that gap? What happened? And how do we go back to introducing these technical skills that are very crucial to skills development? So again, probably let's look at the long-term development of a country, that for every government that comes, they come with their own education policy.
Yeah.
And so we don't seem to be moving forward, but backwards and forwards all the time. But now we have a crucial situation on our hand. I think this is where the conversations around policy and how do we ensure that certain sectors are not touched when it comes to conversations around our development.
That's a good one. But just listening to everything that you're saying, it looks as if it's a balance between what government does and then how our attitude is as a people. We can't always control the fact that every government that comes is changing, things. So how do we then adjust ourselves so that we are relevant regardless of what the external forces are going to try to do?
I think you mentioned something about attitude.
Yeah.
I'd like to also say that as a society, there's also something fundamentally that has gone wrong.
Yeah.
People seem to celebrate making money at all costs. I remember when I was growing up, my parents would ask you, what does he do?
Mm-hmm.
But now nobody asks. So there are questions around, you've made money, but nobody's asking. Now, I know a lot of young people right now will sit behind a computer and do all sorts of things. My son, who's 24, will tell me that, we are all into the IT business. But what does
that mean?
What is the IT business?
What does that
But
mean?
next thing you see these young people driving all sort of cars, and nobody's questioning, nobody's asking. So you find young people who say that, but I'm in the IT business and I'm making money. And so when we look at our morals, our values, hard work means that learning to start with small. For most entrepreneurs, we know how we've started our journeys. So this is the question around role models and mentors who really are not questioning how money is being made. So if you find a young person whose classmate all of a sudden is making money, are you now telling me you raise the question around being a sales agent? There are easier ways of making money. So I think as a society as well, we've also failed our young people.
But if there are easier ways of making money, that would mean there are lots of opportunities, aren't there?
No, not easier, just easier. Sorry, but I think questionable legal ways
Questionable,
of
exactly.
making money. Yes.
But let me get to you, Dr. Bafo, Chumesi Bafo. So you've talked about the changing trends. I'm interested in that. So why is it difficult for us to take advantage of these trends, these changing trends? Why haven't we?
Okay, great. I think that I will get back to the educational policy
Okay.
issue and the fact that the 1987 educational reforms, we saw that there was fundamentally something wrong with the educational system. And so, I mean, all these technical training subjects were introduced. But one thing that needs to be said is that technical education is not cheap. If you look at your typical academic pursuit in that regard, an educational system basically needs bricks and mortar, a few fixtures here and there, and then the trained teacher. But for technical education, you need a lot more. So when you look at the educational reforms we've gone through, the financial support was not there. So on paper, the policy looked great, but in terms of implementation, I know with regards to technical teachers, for example, at a point the system could not find technical teachers because our training institutes were not producing enough technical teachers. And so as a country, I think that it's important that we place a lot more emphasis. Now you hear about free TVET education, and then you would want to know, do they have all the necessary equipment that is relevant for training, for example, a plumber, an electrician, auto mechanic in that system that can compete globally? I mean, those are the issues that we need to interrogate. But essentially, aside the issues of colonial legacy where we value white collar jobs over blue collar jobs, the emphasis also needs to be on the incentives as well, because in the labor market, it is incentives that drives the investment. So people look at you, you are an accomplished electrician who lives in the neighborhood. I mean, you are living a decent life because you are an electrician. Parents see it, children see, and they would also want to aspire to be like you. But in our settings, you don't find a lot more successful people like that. So you see that the returns to the technical education is not that much. So the expectation is not there, and people are not investing in it. If your child says they want to be a plumber, I'm sure you would have a conversation because you think that they cannot have a decent life pursuing that career. But if these all these avenues are more formalized in a form that there is some kind of, for example, certification where we know there are standards, and for that matter, plumbers can have a decent livelihood, earn a decent income until retirement, and so all those things would be an indication for people to invest and go into it and revise the lowly perception of TVET education.
I'm glad that you brought the lowly perception, because that was going to be my next question. So, for example, in the UK or in the US, you learn how to plumb yourself because you can't afford a plumber.
Exactly.
Or you paint yourself because if you're going to call a painter and you're going to pay an arm and a leg. So is the issue also here that we don't value those jobs because we think that they are, and it's funny because you're building a house and the whole plumbing system is given, or somebody is doing it who is barely educated, and then you don't respect the person who's doing it. How does that even work?
Exactly. So you see that in the educational system, when you look at the data, for example, in Ghana, within the secondary education system, only 7% are into TVETs, right? And then when it comes to transition from the secondary to the tertiary, we know that about 30% will transition. So within the 7%, most likely very minute would be the ones that would transition. So essentially, the people that are in there culturally would be the ones that are not in quote and unquote intelligent, and so you find that the people that are low motivated, who lack the ability, are the ones that are moving into the technical training, right? And so it feeds into So they go in with a deficit. The system is not equipped to give them the right skills. They come out not too skilled, and then because of that, they are low productive. Their returns are low, and then it keeps going on and on.
Continues.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier about funding when it came to TVET and all of that. And I wanted to just clarify or just ask, so is it because of funding? Is that why we teach practicals theoretically? Because, for example, I mean, JHS, SHS, they're doing ICT. If you go to an expensive school, then obviously you're doing ICT on a computer. Otherwise, you're learning ICT on a piece of paper. When the world is moving forward with AI, we're still, doing CPU and still rise. It's the gap is so wide. So what do we do? Do we accept that, okay, there's no money, so otherwise then it looks like there's no way forward at all?
Exactly. I think that in as much as there are challenges, I know educators are also trying, but in the absence of infrastructure, then certainly you find that practical courses are taught theoretically. And so I think a year or so ago, there was an instance where our brilliant science champions traveled and they could not assemble the digestive system. It was trending all over the place.
Even though they could
exactly,
name it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in the absence of it, I mean, these are the intelligent crop that we have, but because of the lack of the infrastructure, they know it, but you realize that the theory is quite different. So I give an example. I mean, I know a few students who are also on the international school track, for example, who are learning science, and then my niece is also in the GES system, and she's busy drawing the digestive system.
Yeah.
And another one says, oh, as for that one, we don't need to draw. You need to learn how to label. Right? So essentially, you find that a group is wasting time learning how to draw, but the thing is there. The structure is not changing.
Change.
You need to know how to label it and how to work with it essentially.
Wow.
Maybe I get to Constance Swanica, who's founder and CEO of Accent and Art and Design Technology Institute. She's here with Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafo, with Senior Lecturer, Department of Economics, University of Ghana. We're having a conversation about the opportunities in this country. We'll get to the artisans, because I know there are many of you who are interested in the attitude of the artisans. But talking about skills development, and I'm interested in one thing. Have we not always known we had a problem with skills development? And so started Youth Enterprise Development Program, YesDep, Leadership One, LESDEP. We started Ghana Youth Entrepreneurial Development Agency. Today, if you go to the National Entrepreneurial Innovation Plan, they have skills development programs. If you go to the National Youth Authority, they have skills development programs. So why should we lack skills in this country when all these institutes are developing skills?
So the question is, it's not your business as a regulator to be in the business of training. Industries. In the conversation, there has been no mention of industries. So there's a huge gap between industry and academia. Now, the reason why I mention that, you have industries and private sector who hire young people. And we talked about also manufacturing companies. So when you typically go into a factory, you have state-of-the-art equipment, and you need workers who would man these machines. But you also talked about, the skills gap. There's no way that you can, churn out skilled artisans who can work machines if they're not on the factory floors. Or you typically have engineering students who come out, but they've never seen some of these machines before. So when you look at the gap, a lot of these manufacturing companies, as we know it, actually have foreign workers working in these factories.
Yeah.
So where are we bringing in industry into the conversation? And at the policy level, how are we making it attractive for industry to open their doors when we talk about skills education, so that we can flood these factory floors with young people who are actually interning and learning how to work the machines to buttress the theory part of what they're studying. So typically you have an engineering student who come out and has never seen a machine before, but he's coming out with a first-class engineering degree.
Yeah.
So we talked about the demand and supply side, but this conversation really cannot happen unless we have industry at the table. Again, when we talk about policy, what are the incentives? Why would it be attractive for me to open my factory floors to university graduates? You talked about free TVET and retooling because it's very expensive. We work with state-of-the-art equipment that are very expensive. So in the retooling of the TVET sector, I don't know not one industry that has been given machines or even incentives, whether it's tax breaks or whatever it is, to make it attractive in the conversations around skills development. I was in India a couple of weeks ago, and I saw how industry was working very closely with academia. They had what we called the skill sectors bodies, cut across different sectors. And in the TVET institutions, it was actually industry that actually brings the state-of-the-art machines and everything that they required a young person to actually know. So there was this very close connect, and it's working really well. And so it's not a surprise that India right now is following on the heels of China to take some part of their manufacturing from them. You talked about manufacturing as well, where I see that Africa really has the potential to be the next manufacturing ground. But if we don't sit down to begin to look at the deliberate attempts to really close where these gaps are, we can be talking, and our youth unemployment numbers will continue to rise.
Yeah.
Great, and I'm happy that we're talking to you because you're also the chairperson of the Sector Skills Bodies in Ghana, which is referred to as the Sector Skills Committee.
Exactly.
Good. So, you're part of the people we should be talking to. When we return after these messages, we'll get into the conversation about our attitude. We'll focus more on the skills development also. She's talked about industry. We'll look at that and how we can actually help with education. We keep talking about this. The question really is, why aren't we able to just deal with it? Because I've been hearing this ever since I was a little boy. We've said industry should go and help in the development of even programs and everything in our schools, and that would actually help show what industry needs so people just don't come out and not get the jobs. So why are we still marking time? We'll be right back.
She's so close to the boss, they whisper. The PA is so lucky, they think. It's only 9 a.m. and you've already gone through 3 meetings, 12 phone calls, and a low-calorie breakfast. You only survive each week thanks to speed lunches and power naps. It makes you wonder, how many steps have I taken up the corporate ladder? But you've got this. Wake up your vim with Lucozade. Because with Lucozade, you always make it through. Lucozade, restore your energy. This advert is FDA approved.
Are you hoping to start university this October? If you want a British degree from a world-class university at a fraction of the cost, then join Lancaster University Ghana right here in Accra. With a diverse student community, vibrant campus life, and 50% scholarships to support your study, Lancaster University Ghana provides you with a world-class education that creates endless opportunities globally. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Apply to join Lancaster University Ghana, where learners become leaders. Admissions are currently open for our October 2023 intakes. Apply now for our foundation and undergraduate programs. For more information, contact us on +233 030 221 8989 or send an email to admissions@lancaster.edu.gh. Lancaster University Ghana, the only British university campus in West Africa.
Hi, Mr. Darcy. water pepe, so say some no go left inside the supply tank. What a tank! As my boss, Mr. Poncho, go talk.
Beautiful, durable, with water level indicator and accurate volume of water. Water tank. What a tank! By Duraplast.
Someone smells great here. And fresh, my love. I wish I could stay in the shower all day. I know, right? Nothing beats a bath with geisha soap. It smells so good, it lasts long, and it's enriched with natural ingredients that work wonders for my skin. And it now comes with a fresh new look, giving us even more reasons to love our geisha bar.
New and improved geisha soap. Great new look, better fragrance, same natural ingredients, still all last time. This advert is FDA approved.
Be strong and last long. Like geisha.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
Good morning.
Wake up to the original magazine show.
The Super Morning Show.
Coffee in your cup.
Back, and thank you very much for staying with us here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. And this morning we're having a conversation about you. We've asked the question, where are the opportunities? Many of you have complained. You've said, okay, well, I don't want to live in this country again. I just want to get out of this country, go and look for a job elsewhere, whatever it is. I get
Any
money,
job.
any job
Any
at all.
job, doesn't
I get
really
money,
matter, yeah.
come back and be happy. We've said, oh, there are opportunities in Ghana. And you've asked the question, where are those opportunities? How come 1.76 million people are unemployed? How come, 25% of youth aged between 15 to 35 are neither in employment, education, or training? And so, looks like nothing is really working. So this morning we want to find out what is working and what can be done to make it work even better. We're joined in studio by Dr. Priscilla Chumesi-Bafa, who is Senior Lecturer, Department of Economics of the University of Ghana, and Constance Swanika, who is founder and CEO of Accent and Art and Design Technology Institute. So we get into the conversation shortly. We've talked about industry, and the question really is, this seems like another cliche or something we've heard before. We've been running around it all the time. So how come we've never been able to achieve it? But let me just welcome our listeners who are listening to us on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. And tell you about Adansi Travels, the 2022 Best Tour Operator by the Ghana Tourism Authority, which is pleased to invite you to join their 10th anniversary trip to Dubai. Now, this 10-day fun-filled trip starts from the 10th of August on a chartered Emirates flight to Dubai and promises to offer you a wonderful holiday experience like never before. There's option for a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star hotels to choose from, and a guaranteed unforgettable fun experience at the Dubai desert with the legend himself, Samini, performing live at the camp. Look, you can't miss this trip for anything at all. The good news is that the rate starts at only $1,650 to cover your Emirates flight, hotel accommodation, visa tours, airport transfers, and selected meals. To book, visit our website at dansitravels.com or call 0595 500 817 or 0593 850082. Please note that apart from the chartered flight date from the 10th to the 19th of August, you can also join the trip on either the 13th or 15th of August. Adansi at 10, it's a vibe. Book now to feel the beauty of life with Adansi.
You contribute to the growth and success of Ghanaian textile industry every time you wear your authentic fabric. GTB says thank you. Always purchase original, genuine, and authentic GTB fabrics. Check that the design number on the label is also printed on the edge of the fabric. Please call 050-994-0949 to buy online or visit any of our accredited dealers nationwide or any Woodin shop. GTB, life styled.
So now it's your time to enjoy the Royal Foam mattress at an affordable rate. Things are really hard and prices of goods and services are on the increase every day. And that's why Royal Foam is bringing to you a sales promotion dubbed Wonsubumreni. It's your time to enjoy a 10% discount off the current prices on our mattresses. Yes, a 10% discount on our mattresses and free pillows in addition. So rush to all Royal Foam shops and get a 10% discount on every mattress purchased, as well as enjoy our free pillows. Call us on 020-227-1000 for more information. Royal Foam, rest assured.
Everywhere make hot, but still man for enjoy regardless. Grab your favorite Bigu drink from Twillium Industrial Company Limited, producers of Verna Mineral Water and Rush Energy Drink. Guess what? Bigu gives you 20 bottles for a pack. No more 16, so 4 bottles for free. Obia benyebi. Boys, girls, mommy and daddy for the party, funeral, family day out, and any other social gathering. No wahala. Grab any of our flavors: cola, orange, pineapple, apple, cocktail, etc. It's big in taste, big in flavor, big in quantity, and very affordable for all. Bigu Drink, another premium product from Twillium Industrial Company Limited, producers of Rush Energy Drink and Verna Mineral Water.
Great. So let's continue with the conversation. And Dr. Chumesi Bafo, so the bit about industry and everything and, making sure that you get in there. I know institutions, for instance, if you go to UPSA right now, on the accounting program, they use the Institute of Chartered Accountants Ghana, course outline to actually train the students. They have said, okay, so there's now something like a buy one, get one free. Start the course. While you are studying for your degree, you write the ICAG exam. So by the time you get out, you're qualified as a professional accountant. So you'll be prepared for industry. We have seen other institutions trying to collaborate. Last time I was told ADK Consortium was collaborating with KNUST to even train, architects and surveyors. So a lot of things are being done. We've had this whole talk about industry playing a role all this while. How come we're still back to the same thing we've been talking about 20, 30 years ago when we're going through schools?
Essentially, Winston, I think that with the collaboration, it's happening. But a lot of it is occurring in silos. So you see, that is where we need a policy to drive that. And so, for example, I know at UG there is now the insistence for our students to, for example, do internships during the long vacation. But even with that, you see that because of the numbers we deal with, a lot of them do not get the opportunities because, we don't have that many firms within the private sector to be able to absorb. But there is some level of collaboration. There is always room for improvement in that regard. But I think that the educational system, I am also a lot more careful in advocating that industry should drive the whole educational system because essentially the theory is important and then the interest of industry changes. It changes with changing times. The educational system should change to adopt, but some of the core issues still remain. And so essentially, if you say that industry should drive the educational system, then certain courses would not be taught. So for example, history, nobody would go and study history, but our history needs to be told. And so there are certain core areas of discipline that needs to be maintained. But essentially, when you look at the reason why we are struggling with skills training is because of our overemphasis on academic qualifications. When you look at the conversion of our polytechnics into technical universities, for example, the whole idea was to create a route and a path for people who are on the technical track to be able to get degrees in plumbing, electrician, and all those things. But now what do you see? You see that most of these institutions are running business-related courses and humanity courses and are really drifting away from their core mandate of the skills training. And it comes back, like I'm saying, in terms of the resources and the financial outlay that is required to be able to train people with good skills in these technical areas.
So both of you have mentioned the core issues that we face and the fact that we're not really focusing on them. And I was wondering if you could actually just run through some of the core issues so that we're kind of bringing that out, and then maybe if we start tackling those, then we can move on to the more complicated stuff. So Constance, for example, for you, what are some of the core issues that you feel that if we focused on, we would be able to make headway?
You know, you said something earlier on the issue of plumbers. I think earlier on I stated that for any country to develop, you need to look at these three areas: welding, plumbing, and electricals. And I also mentioned industrial welding, plumbing. But you see, the sort of jobs that are out there is not what young people seem to realize, that the jobs that you're looking at is not what you think it is. We also talked about the perception and the rebranding of it. If you work in the mining companies right now and you're laying underground plumbing, whatever, if you're doing engineering, we have a shortage of industrial plumbers and electricals and highly qualified welders. And so look at the oil and gas companies, for instance, would bring in Indian or Filipino workers. So let's look at where the jobs are. We talked about demand and supply. And I think that this is where, you know, when we work with industry and they tell us that every year maybe we need 1,000 highly qualified welders, the mining companies, you know, there are opportunities. I think the conversations around why I said industry really should be telling us what they need, and then we train for the needs of industry. So I think more deliberate and conversations around looking at the skills gaps. I know that the Council for Technical Education has the skills gaps analysis where it tells you what the skill needs in the country is. Then you also talked about agriculture. Dr. Priscilla talked about the changing face of agriculture. The reality is that almost everything that is imported goes out in its raw form. So what about the value addition along those services? You know, we looked at opportunities around logistics. You know, logistics has changed, as we know. So conversations around deeply looking at where opportunities, I think that's what is missing, if you ask me. It's not as if jobs don't exist. There are jobs, but what is missing is how to connect young people with those jobs. And this is where the role of industry and the skill sectors bodies come in as well.
So, for example, do you think that it would help if we're able to forecast, let's say, that in the next 5 years, we're going to need this number of people? And then we go into the senior high schools, make those presentations, because I don't know if you agree, but I feel like a lot of people at that level don't really know what they want to do.
Absolutely. So this is where career guidance counseling is also very crucial.
Informed.
Exactly.
Career guidance.
Exactly. And I think that's, you know, because investing in education is not cheap. So if you're going to train a young person who come out and can't find those jobs, yet we're importing labor, then it tells you that once we import labor, there are jobs. So what is missing is the skill sets. Dr. Priscilla also raised the issue around, you know, not that many industries that would absorb young people for internships. Nobody's talked about the informal sector. If you go to Kokompe right now or Swami Magazine, those are engineers. These guys can fix anything.
Right.
But nobody has thought that how do we even link our engineers to go and work in Kokompe? You're looking down on them as the informal. These guys haven't gone to school much, but they're so experienced that, you know, you can imagine with a little bit of
skilled,
a little bit of, you know, this is how we work at industry. And so when you look at 70% of the job market being in the informal sector, You see a tailor who's made something nice, but what is missing is just maybe the standards, the finishing. So if we looked at also how we uplift our informal sector, you can imagine the jobs that are also out there for young people.
Now, talking about the informal sector, it seems that's where the problem even is. You've talked about the tailor, you've talked about the mechanic, and I'm sure there are a lot of you who may have stories. I have always complained about tailors. Give them your work, they do it how they like. One, he would not finish on time. Two, he will tell you to come for it. When you get there, he's not there. He said, oh, boss, I see me by and I'm a lucky shop and I'm a call. He's not finished. So the once he tells you, come for it, he's hiding from you. Today, someone sent a message that says, our best tailors are from outside this country. I know people who actually bring Togolese masons into the country to come and work. Yes, they bring them here because they say they do a very good job.
They work long hours.
They're
more committed. They don't take as many breaks. They don't eat kenke early in the morning and then they are sleeping whilst they are trying to do the foundation. They can't speak much English, but they're digging the sand. And it's the digging of the sand that's paying the bills, not the speak. So yeah, I mean.
So what's it about our attitude impeding the opportunities that we have? Dr. Chimesibafo.
That's a deep one. And so for attitude, I think that it starts from the grassroots. I mean, the culture, the whole environment that children grow up in. And so with the conversation of skills, for instance, I believe that we should not even wait for people to get to secondary school before we try to introduce skills training. It should start from the primary school. And so, for example, when children are doing a creative drawing and are being asked to do things, recycle, use boxes to build cars and things, that is where you unearth creativity.
Why don't we do that? Why don't we? Because it's not as if there aren't people who can. If you compare again the international schools where you're paying a lot of money and the normal schools, you see the differences in how they teach. So they're teaching things like conflict resolution. They're teaching things like managing your feelings. They're teaching things like expressing yourself. You know, and you watch how the children interact and how they speak and how they're thinking. And then you are listening to your child who probably goes to, a regular, city paying school, and you're like, you are so disadvantaged from the get-go.
The issue is with the resources. So, for example, you need to ask yourself, in our teacher training institutions, how are we even training the teachers? And when the teachers come out, do they have the resources to be able to do that? Now, for example, when you look at averages with regards to pupil-teacher ratio, it's improved significantly. But that said, if you have a teacher who is in a class of about 45, 50 children, that is a lot. And so, for instance, in terms of the curriculum, I mean, is there a room for the teacher to allow the children to experiment with things in the class and supervise alone? And so you find that within the educational system, people are doing things to get by because of the lack of the resources. But as you said, within the international system, they have all the resources because people are paying hard cash. And in that regard, you get the children unearth their interests at a very early stage. And even if you are interested in skills training at that stage, you still go through the educational system, go through secondary school before you begin to pursue. But here you find that sometimes people would not even finish primary school and they want to go and learn how to sew. They want to go and learn how to be a mason, start by being a laborer and then learn on the job. The whole format of informalized system within the skills training area is something that needs to be critically looked at, because the informality also feeds into the lowly perception.
Yeah.
Like Miss Wanika is indicated, you go to Kokompe, they are doing amazing things, but when you look at the whole work environment, no graduate would want to go there and do any internship or anything. But there are skills that are in there, and I think that as a country we need to look at those areas and explore the opportunities that exist there for young people, because essentially tertiary education institutions are passing out a lot more graduates every year, and the opportunities are not there, and yet we are lacking skills in the labor market that needs to be filled.
Great. But one of the first times I heard of the spare part dealers was when a guy with the degree from the University of Ghana biochemistry was their chairman. After he left, he decided to sell spare parts. And you find some of the best salespersons at Abosokan. You will never go and leave without buying something.
You change your whole engine when you just went for
you get some of the best
farm
salespersons.
belts. I'm telling you.
Right. So when we return, we'll talk more about it, but also explore. I mean, is it really not a problem with our economy? Yeah, we're talking about all the jobs, but is it not just a symptom of how low we've sunk as an economy? The economy not doing so well. So the opportunities just don't exist. This morning we're joined by Dr. Priscilla Chumesi Bafo, who's Senior Lecturer, Department of Economics, University of Ghana, and Constance Swanika, who's founder and CEO of Accents Art and Design Technology Institute. When we return, we'll also give you a chance to join the conversation. We'll be right back.
So them continue the gunning, and that the youth them watching and learning. Super Morning Show is always the best.
And with all these computers, servers, and electronic equipment, I know they see one cable for the floor crack.
Charlie, you be right too. We dey use raised access floors from Interface, so all the cables they hide under the raised access floor. So
this be the solution to the plenty cables where they my computer room for office. Accountant, call Interface now.
If you're involved in new property development, renovation, or decoration, the right place for you is Interface Limited. Call us on 0274 999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook, Interface Limited GH. Instagram, interface.limited.
Mosquitoes come through, we'll kill them for sure. Kill it, insecticide spray. Kill it, mosquito call. Anywhere them day, we've got kill it today. Intuntum nintefre. Kill it. Mwawe bia. Kill it. Mosquitoes and insects. Kill it. Todia kumne ye. Kill it. Intuntum nintefre. Kill it. Mwawe bia.
Have you heard? Kill It is back and available nationwide at all shopping outlets. Buy what kills mosquitoes, cockroaches, and all flying and crawling insects. Use Kill It Insecticide's strong and long-lasting formula that leaves a lingering sweet aroma. Buy Kill It Insecticide. Todiekum. This product is FDA approved.
My people, Philadelphia. Our very own Adansi Travels is 10 years old. I hope you remember what they did on their 5th anniversary with a 555 figure and even the power of 8.
Then this will be a 10-day thing.
That is right. We are going on a 10-day adventure in Dubai on a chartered Emirates flight full of Adansi travelers from 10th to 19th August. And starting from $1,650, you can be part of this Adansi-licious 10th anniversary tour. The rate covers flights, hotel accommodation, breakfast, visa, airport transfer, tours, and Adansi at 10 mega party at Dubai Desert Camp with the legendary Samini.
Adansi Travelers Tour. It's a vibe. The 10th anniversary. Don't know. Be a part of this.
You can pay a minimum of $500 to book your seat and pay the rest till 15th July. Contact Adansi Travels now on 0595 500 817 or 055 631 0404 to book your spot now. Adansi Travels. Feel life's beauty.
Your morning radio.
Back. This is still Joy 99.7 FM, and this morning we have a conversation about unemployment, entrepreneurship, artisans, and everything that has to do with your ability to make money and take care of business. But a special welcome back, especially to our listeners in Love FM. Good morning. It's so great to have you here with us. The Ghana Revenue Authority is announcing for the information of the general public, especially importers, that with the passage of VAT Act 2022, all importers who qualify to register for VAT and have failed to do so will from Tuesday, June 6, 2023, be charged an additional 12.5% on the customs value of taxable goods they import. The upfront payment is charged at importation on taxable goods imported in the commercial quantities with a value of 200,000 and above. Kindly note that the upfront payment is not a new tax. It's a compliance tool to encourage persons required to register for VAT to register and file tax returns in order to bring parity in the administration of VAT. An importer who makes the upfront payment may be allowed to recover the amount when they register and file their VAT returns as stated in Act 1082. We therefore entreat all importers who qualify to register for VAT to make arrangements to register as the nearest taxpayer service center to avoid the upfront payment. Kindly contact GRA on toll-free number 0800 900 110 WhatsApp numbers 055-299-0000 or 020-063-1664. You can send an email to info@gra.gov.gh for further enquiries. Now it's that time of the day to order some tasty grilled chicken with fried rice, the best of its kind. Enjoy the aroma of carefully selected fresh ingredients. Feel the love in every bite of excellently savored and sizzled food if you're working in Accra or Tema. Call Lunch Avenue on 0558-502-206 to order fresh home-cooked and nutritious meals. Lunch Avenue, tasty, yummy, and healthy. Let me also welcome back our ladies that are in the studio with us. Dr. Priscilla Chumesi Bafo is a senior lecturer, Department of Economics, University of Ghana, and Constance Elizabeth Swaneker, founder and CEO of Accents and Arts and Design and Technology Institute. So, Constance, before we went on the break, you wanted to say something about the soft skills. Please go ahead.
I was just going to add on to what Dr. Priscilla said, that when you look at, the embedding of soft skills, a soft skills curriculum, you have teachers who stand in front of the class and are dictating to students, and young people are not encouraged to speak back.
Yeah.
But a being very deliberate about embedding soft skills means that how do you build confidence in a young person? Presentation skills, analytical skills, critical, all those things that are crucially missing in the curriculum. In Japan, at age 3, they have what they call the Kaizen culture, where a young, a 3-year-old is making her own bed, how to look after yourself, and all these things that by the time you grow up, you have a very disciplined mindset of what it takes to successfully transition into work. Again, as schools currently, there's no extracurricular. Children learn by playing, and this is where, music and drama and theater and all those things that boost all these soft skills are also all missing. Sports. I know schools have, we don't have swimming pools anymore. Young people are not playing anymore. You see, soft skills cannot be taught, but it's actually how you live it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about how young people are unable to transition into work, you talked about the attitude. If this is not embedded, how are we socializing young people? So really, the issues around curricula and all those things that somewhere along the line, the education policy got it wrong. If we don't go back to fixing the core issues, we'll continue to be going around in circles as well.
I wonder, Dr. Chumesi Bafo, how we can achieve this when we almost have a generation who don't have these skills, but then we're expecting it to be passed on. So where do we start from? Do we have to teach the teacher? Who teaches the teacher how to teach the children to use their minds and be innovative? And how do we do that?
I think essentially we have to be intentional about it. But I must also indicate that in as much as we are not directly teaching, people get it somehow. And so, for example, in terms of being able to work in teams, being able to interact, children would engage and all that. But we have to be very intentional about it. And I'm very happy about you talking about the training of the teacher, because you cannot give what you don't have, right? So in terms of the training institutions, that is where the focus needs to be. You don't have to be in a state-of-the-art classroom to be able to put your children in groups for them to do some group work and give feedback. That is where they would be building their leadership skills, they will be building their negotiation skills and all that. But I am in an educational setting, and I must admit that we cannot pretend that all is well because of the numbers that we deal with, right? And so because of the large class sizes, you are not able to be effective with group works and all that. But that said, I think also when you get to the tertiary level, then a lot of the responsibility falls on the student as well.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a tertiary setting, nobody will set you down to show you, for example, how to operate an MS Office processor and all those software packages and all that. What you need to do is that you are given assignment. You need to go and explore how it's done. Nobody teaches them how to use TikTok and WhatsApp and Instagram, but they are quite savvy about it. So in that regard, young people need to own it and invest in their own skills. But the educational system at the primary to secondary should lay the foundation to make it easier for them. And that said, I would say that when you go to the urban areas, you find that relatively it is not bad. But when you move into the rural areas, then you see that the divide is quite sharp. And as a country, I think it is something that we need to take a look at and be intentional about it, because otherwise you tend to lose a whole generation where they are not able to function in the world that they would live in 10, 20 years to come, given the way things are fast changing with technology.
So considering that we're almost kind of behind as it is now in terms of technology, how are we going to sort of get to zero, move from the negative to zero, so that then we can move from 0 to maybe 5 if the world is ahead? Because you talked about the science and math squad who couldn't put the system together. And every time I see the latest article about AI or ChatGPT or robotics, I'm looking at my children and wondering, okay, how do we try and get you to catch up with that? Then I'm also looking at children who are in schools and they don't even have toilets. I mean, so there's this, and then there's what's ahead. Where do we start from? Like, realistically, where do we start from?
I think with this question, maybe a rep from the Ministry of Education or policymaker would have been the best in the best spot to answer that. But I think that we cannot throw our hands up in the air and give up. Regardless of, the Ghanaian is resilient. We should be able to adapt to changing times, and then the system should invest where is necessary. And then, human capital is a source of every activity, every development. Human capital is fundamental. And so for that matter, if we know that is important, I think that as a country, the fact that we are going through a phase of free SHS is an indicator that we think that education is a priority. So if it is, then we should invest in all aspects of the education, especially given that we know that there's a skill gap need in the industrial sector, skill gap need in the services sector. Something needs to be done, and the basics is the educational system. Educational system that is adapting soft skills and digital skills, because you talk about AI and all that, that is where the world is moving. In the next decade or so, a lot of repetitive tasks that are done by human beings would no longer exist. And that is where you need to train people who will be able to immediately adapt to changing times, and that is where soft skills is important. The hard skills, which is the core subjects you are learning, is critical, but you need the soft skills and the digital skills to be able to function in the future world of work, really.
Constance, I think one of my favorite things about you is that you have succeeded in making the technical and the working with your hands look very appealing and very rewarding. But it's almost like an untapped area, because people are not... I'm trying to imagine what it would be like if I was having a discussion with young people and telling them, you should go into welding or you should go into this. I'm wondering what their reactions might be. From your point of view, how do we make this sector look appealing? How do we make it top 3 and top of mind when children are choosing what they want to do with their lives?
Well, you said something earlier on how we package the sector. I think in the last 23 years, I've proven the opportunities that exist in the skill sector. But more interestingly, 1/3 of our learners at DTI students actually graduates. who are there for upskilling.
Okay.
You know, and when you see the campus, it's a really beautiful campus. And I think really packaging and the storytelling, you know, let more young people see, you know, people like us who actually work in industry. But more importantly, young people also telling their own successes. You know, I think when people begin to see that it's possible, that's when you really see that opening. I must say that it's growing. I know a lot of young people who actually will graduate and are baking cakes and are doing all sorts of things. Young people are actually very entrepreneurial now, you know, and all these things are all skill sectors. And I think because they're so savvy on technology, how do we then use some of these platforms to really tell the positive stories? So therefore, there has to also be some investment in, you know, storytelling.
Okay.
And it's only when people really begin to see, you know, the narrative changing that you really, for young people to see that opportunities exist. Yes.
All right. Well, guess what? The phone lines are open because we love to hear from you. 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. The WhatsApp line is also open, 055-11-11997. And this morning, I would love to hear what your experience has been with artisans and how we can make it better. So the last time you encountered that carpenter or the mason or the construction worker, the bricklayer, the person who came to dig your foundation, what was that like? Where did they come from? Did they fight with you? Did they refuse to take orders from your wife? What was that like? Call us and tell us, 0302-216-541. Chidiak is calling us from South La. Good morning, Chidiak.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Okay, great. So, do you want to go ahead?
Yes. First of all, may I congratulate your resource persons over there. And if you listen to them carefully, it boils down to resources. We don't have the resources. Why don't we have the resources? Corruption. They are stealing every piece of money everywhere in the country. So nothing is left for the generations unborn. And the only way we can solve this problem is one. They must introduce death penalty for corruption. Wow. 2, civil organizations must sit up and hold governments accountable. That this is the direction we want to go as a nation. If you are not ready, don't sit in the seat. Get out. That's all it is. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Chidiak from South La. Phone lines are open, 0302-216-541. And I'm asking you to share your experience with artisans and what you think we can do to make it better. Bishop is joining us from Asante Mampong. Bishop, good morning.
Anymore, welcome back to Joy FM. Anymore.
I didn't go too far, but thank you very much.
Yeah. Anymore.
Yes.
Thank you for having this resource person. I will tell you, I'm into education, and I am a trainer of teachers. I teach at the College of Education, and coincidentally, I teach in the Technical College of Education. Anymore.
Yes.
Our problem with trade or artisans and what have you is enormous. I heard you talking about foreign artisans being true to their customers, and Ghanaian customers want quick money. Let me put that one aside. With technical education, the base, the JHS, when we were trying to develop the JHS to junior high school and what have you, with technical education at the base, building workshops and providing tools. Where are those workshops now at the JHS level? Where are those tools now? Then the secondary technical institutions, at the end of the day, they concentrate on only the secondary aspect, the grammar aspect, to the neglect of the technical education. So TVET is we advocate for TVET. At the end of the day, we don't provide the needed resources and they needed human manpower to train these young ones to fill the areas. I will tell you, we train these students. We have 9 colleges of education who are in technical education, but my school, ours is just solely technical. I mean, I would say we major in technical. The sciences are there, ICT is there, and what have you. But we get the students we get don't have technical background. We have to start at fresh to let them get this technical. But the misconception out there that people who are into technical are not knowledgeable. They are the dropouts and what have you. And this is the cause of our woes in this country. I don't have to do something. I don't want to take my time. But when I get a proper forum one day with Joy FM, we need to talk much on this technical education. And we shall, cry for Mother Ghana if we don't take time.
Thank you so much for that, Bishop. Our phone lines are still open, 0302216541. He talked about perception. And I think at some point we also mentioned that we look at the informal sector as though it was less. And so that's interesting. Richard I was going to ask you a question about that, but Richard is joining us from Achimota. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Anymore. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing very well. So go ahead.
Right, okay. So let's say if government wants to create more job opportunities for the youth, it could strategically set up pack houses. A pack house is a place where an industry will have small scale centers. So we have students who are from the polytechnics or from the university starting up entrepreneurship from these places. So if it has to do with cooking oil, for example, we produce a lot of oil palm. We have small machines that smaller cooperatives, students are put into cooperatives. And they come there, they are being taken through how to, let's say, extract this oil palm and then also jodolize them into cooking oil, like what we say, other brands we have on the market. Everything is in the pack house. You print the labels. Ministry of Agriculture is there. Food and Drugs Board is also in the setup. They do that and then they put it on the market. So we don't have to import everything there. I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, you are.
Right. A Ghanaian consultant did a similar thing in Tanzania, which was sponsored by the Spanish government. So why can't we do a similar thing here, creating this to create millions of jobs for the youth? YEA should be looking at this things. They need a direction, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Richard. We're going to OEB now to speak to Stephen. Hello, Stephen.
Hi, good morning, anyone.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Anyway, you see, we have a very big problem in this country. Now, let me start by saying that when our leaders started playing our education system, and everyone, all those who are in a better position to hold them and tell them that what we are doing was not sensible, we all kept quiet. It's what we're experiencing now. In the next 15 years to come, it will be worse. Because even time, when those abysmal things were being done, people kept quiet. Can't 1, 2, 3 week also. And now, we've been through that curriculum and what we are teaching the children now, garbage. We are still quiet. In the next 15 years, we are going to cry in this country. Someone sits somewhere and the person thinks that the rate of unemployment is also part of it. For forgiveness. Let me tell you something. You sit in a country where an employer is paying a staff 400 cedis, 450. Person before he gets to work will have to pay cash like 2 times. So in and out, he's going to, sometimes even on the way, you may have to sit in one car and pay 3 times before you go home.
Thank you very much. I think we've lost Stephen. But Stephen, you can call back, please. We would appreciate that. Kwame is joining us from East Legon. Hello, Kwame.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I want to make a little contribution.
Sure, go ahead.
My contribution is that I think much of the problem of technical education comes from like parenting. You see, if you go, I've taught like 7 years, and the emphasis of most parents, they try to push their children into white-collar jobs. So every time you talk to a parent, oh, my child will be a doctor, stroke lawyer, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of mindset you're giving the children. So most children are not really interested from the onset. So they tend to dwell on the white-collar jobs like going to university, they want to go do a job, they will sit in a comfortable office and all that. I'm saying this because, look, you go to school, you interact with parents. Parents come, oh, I want my child to be a doctor and lawyer. I know in this country we have a lot of problems with resources and all that. But look, if a child is given the necessary push from the beginning, from the parents, you can be a plumber or carpenter or mason. I mean, a very professional one. Even if the little resources, the child can build upon it. You get me? So I think I'll lay the blame also on parenting. Parents are really, most parents, I can bet you 99% of parents in Ghana want their children to be doctors or lawyers. They want them to be in cozy offices, cratchy jobs, that kind of thing. So that's, what I've got to say this morning.
Well, thank you very much for that, Kwame. Thanks a lot. Let's go to Bob Nate in Osu. Bob, good morning.
Morning, madam. My problem is registration of factories and registrations of small-scale workers. I want to know how can the process go? How can we register our own skills?
Okay. Thank you very much. Prof will answer that question for you before she leaves. But Edgar is also joining us. Hello, Edgar.
Yes, my dear. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Great. Okay. Would you share with us what's on your mind?
My problem is very simple. Why do we have so many qualified electrical engineers in this country? They write I-engine at the beginning of their names. And yet still, the whole country is dark. No street light is working. Traffic lights are not working, creating all kinds of danger on the roads. Is it that they are holding only paper qualification and therefore they lack the practical ability, or they are waiting for somebody to import something from China? Can't we do that something in this country here? Technical education. How do you expect the country to go when you have over 1,000 grammar schools and just about less than 200 technical schools? But we need answers to these street lights and the traffic lights. The power head people should come and explain. Since we have excess power, I don't see why we should not have street lights. They should come and explain.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So the phone lines are closed. We're done with that part of the conversation. Just coming back into studio to get your closing comments and thoughts. We have Dr. Priscilla Chumisi Balfour, Senior Lecturer, Department of Economics, University of Ghana, and Constance Elizabeth Swanica, Founder and CEO of Accents and Arts and Design and Technology Institute. So, Doc, will you tell us your final thoughts, closing comments on the whole issue?
I think that my remark would be that there is a need for us as a country to sort of reimagine TVET. The whole TVET space needs a lot of interventions to make it work. And like the gentleman indicated, he was talking about registration. I think it has to deal with formalization and certification, right? So for example, you'd have, I know for electricians now, Ghana Standards Authority certifies them, and so once they produce that certification, you know they are qualified, and that would come with some level of remuneration that they would accept. Those interventions are what will make the system work, make it attractive, because you would have people who are earning decent incomes, living decent lives, and then people can aspire to go into those spaces. But I must say that TVET education is not cheap, and that is why over the period, with all our educational reforms, you find that we would advocate for the introduction of TVET to be central part of the education, but we end up going back to the whole grammar type education, because those are easier and they don't require that much resources. But as a country, given that within the African context now, on the back of Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we cannot afford to do the same old things and expect different results. We need to invest in the skills training of young people to position them to take advantage of all the opportunities that exist with technological change, and also opportunities that would come up with after.
Thank you so much for that. Constance?
For me, I'm very excited that 23 years ago, nobody was really talking about TVET. But if conversations have begun around the need to really adapt, I think that's a very good start. You see a lot of TVET initiatives, a lot of conversations around TVET. So for me, that excites me. I think that sometimes it's important that we also give ourselves hope that Africa is young. When I say young, in terms of the youth dividend, it presents so much opportunity. But to add on to what Dr. Priscilla said, let's not only just see job opportunities existing in our countries, but if you look at the rest of Europe and the rest of the world, it's aging. And so for a lot of countries like Germany and Canada, and even conservative Japan, the global workforce will come from Africa. And so when we talk about our human capital development, let's position ourselves that collectively, the size of Africa is the size of India and China. And so you can imagine what the future of not just Ghana, but Africa presents in the next few years, that we would become the next global workforce. And so at the strategy level and the high level, let's see ourselves as having young people. And so our investment in this human capital will really take us to where we're supposed to get to.
Great stuff there. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for taking time out to share your morning with us. We're very grateful.
Thank you for having
All right, so we're going to go for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. The show is not